Hey, Zoe Bear. It's January 9th, 2015, Friday. I misses you. But I thought I'd talk a little bit about perception today, because perception is important. Have you ever looked up at the sky with a friend of yours and, wondered, do they see the same blues that I do when they look up? Even though we're both looking at the exact same sky, does it look the same to them as it does to me? And it's a difficult question to answer because we don't have any way of describing what blue looks like without using comparative terms. Like we can hold up a blue sheet of paper and say this is blue, but if my blue is different than your blue, then of course I'm just going to nod my head to say, yeah, of course that's blue, even though my blue might be your pink. We would have no idea. We don't have words in our language to describe a color in a way to make somebody see that color from our points of view. Like you can't describe a color to a blind guy and have him understand what blue looks like. We just don't have the words for that. And it makes it a difficult question to answer, but the more we find out about the ways the eyes work and the way the brain works with the eye and translates what the eyes see, the more we discover that people don't see things the same way. People can really see pink instead of blue, and their pink will be your blue, or your blue will be their pink, or whatever. Which is an extreme example. More commonly, it's actually just their blue is a little bit brighter than yours, or a slightly bit greener than yours, or a slightly bit more yellow than yours, or what it comes down to is the photoreceptors in the back of your eyes and how your brain translates the information given to those. In the back of your eyes, you've got three different kinds of photoreceptors generally. You've got green, blue, and red. And when light hits these, they trigger them. They record and send that into the brain, which then processes that, and that's how we see things. There are people that don't even know they're colorblind out there, that are just so used to seeing that way that they don't know that they're seeing things differently than other people. And people that are colorblind commonly have a lower amount of these photoreceptors. If you're blue-green colorblind, then you've got a low amount of green photoreceptors in the back of your eyes. But it's also there's also times when people are colorblind and it's not a problem with their eyes, but it's a problem with how their brain is processing what the eyes are seeing. There are two places where problems can occur. And like I said, most people don't see things the same way. If you've got more red photoreceptors in your eye than I do, your reds will be a little bit different than mine. And no two people have the same amount of photoreceptors in the same exact places in their eyes. So, and there are rare cases of people who have 4 kinds of photoreceptors. And that gets into crazy, hard to imagine things. Like think about this. When you mix blue and yellow together, you get green, right? That's because the wavelengths of the colors cancel each other out. But there is a way to mix blue and green together with the right eyes in a way that it becomes, how do I say this? When you mix red and yellow together, you get orange. And orange, you can tell, is a midway kind of between red and yellow. You know, when you mix red and blue together, you get purple, and you can tell that purple came from red and blue. Green isn't like that. You know, when you mix blue and yellow together, you would expect it to be as purple is. You know, it's midway. It's a blend of red and blue, but green, it's a whole nother color itself. The same way that if you mix red and green together, you know how you get that icky, nasty brown color? Imagine if you could mix red and green together in a way that you get a color that's midway between red and green. It's got, you know, it's greenish and it's reddish. It's really hard to describe, but people can actually see that. There are people who have a fourth kind of photoreceptors who see things far differently. It's a wacky territory to be walking in. And like I said, it also comes down to how your brain processes things, you know. You know, you can imagine it like this. You see the room that I'm in, just imagine that the browns are a little bit redder, and the blues are a little bit darker, and the reds are a little bit brighter. I mean, you know, when I hold up something small like this pack of cigarettes here, you see the top, it's yellow. You know, you can say, you know, that yellow, imagine that yellow is a little bit brighter. And, you know, yeah, it would look a little bit brighter. But the whole world looks differently when you look at it in a big picture kind of way. I mean, you know, just imagine that the wall over there is a little bit redder and the green over there is a little bit darker and the blue, you know, the room would take on a whole new appearance, which, you know, is how somebody else would see the room through their own eyes. And the point that I'm trying to get to with all of this is when you're talking with somebody and they can't quite grasp an idea that you have, or you can't quite understand their point of view. You know, when you two can't see the way the other does, try to keep in mind that they literally don't see things the way you do, and you literally don't see things the way they do. So try and be understanding of that and keep that in mind, that the world may look completely different for them. You know, their favorite color might be purple and your favorite color might be blue because they see purple differently than you do, and because you see blue differently than they do. They might look at a piece of art, a painting, and be completely moved by it, where you might look at it and feel nothing because they see that painting differently than you do. Literally, you know, their eyes work differently than yours, and their brains work differently than yours. So the colors of that painting are different to them than it is to you. So, philosophically speaking, try to keep that in mind when you're passing ideas back and forth between a friend or discussing something in class, that other people don't see things the way you do, and you don't see things the way other people do, literally. So hopefully that applies to the figurative term also. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting idea, and I thought it might give you a little bit of insight on something to keep in mind when you're talking about something with someone. Anyway, I love you, and I hope you have a great weekend.